The enemy was trying to take me out. He was really trying to take me out. They've taken pretty much everything. They've stolen, I won't say stolen, but they have taken all the monies that were due to me.
Brother in this Illuminati, brother not in this Illuminati. Brother in this Illuminati commits. Like, how many of these things have to happen in front of the public?
In the world of soul music, there are stories that were never written down. Angie Stone and D'Angelo were once two stars who redefined black music. They rose to glory together, and then both fell into the same abyss of darkness. Angie once spoke of a curse she believed had been following her. Just days later, she died in a strange accident in Alabama. There were 9 people in the van, 8 survived. Only Angie never made it home. 7 months later, D'Angelo, the man who once called her the light of soul, was gone too. The media said he died of pancreatic cancer. But behind the scenes, darker whispers began to spread. People said D'Angelo had become obsessed with her death, that he believed Angie had unknowingly touched something forbidden. What could have driven these two neo-soul spirits into tragedy within just a year? Was it coincidence, illness? Or was it the price of walking too close to the powers that dwell in the shadows? No one knows for sure. Was it really an accident, a sickness? Or something far more terrifying? The beginning, when the Queen of Soul met the young genius. In the early 1990s, as hip-hop soul and modern R&B began to dominate the airwaves, a new wave called neo-soul emerged. It was the era of artists like Erykah Badu Maxwell and Lauryn Hill, and most notably D'Angelo, barely in his 20s, who was hailed as the spiritual voice of a new generation. Angie Stone, then 32, was already a veteran in the black music scene. She had been a member of The Sequence, a pioneering all-female rap group under Sugar Hill Records, the first black women ever signed to a rap label. They met in New York around 1993 when Angie was writing and producing for other artists, and D'Angelo had just signed with EMI Records. He was looking for someone to help him shape the sound of his debut album. Angie later recalled in an interview with Rolling Stone. He was young, but I knew right away he wasn't ordinary. D'Angelo had the soul of someone who'd lived many lives. Between them, an unusual bond formed, part creative, part emotional. Angie didn't just write lyrics and produce. She helped D'Angelo craft his image, his hair, his fashion, even the way he walked onto the stage. She co-wrote and produced for Brown Sugar 1995, the album that sold over 2 million copies, earned Grammy nominations, and officially crowned D'Angelo as the new Prince of Soul. Behind the spotlight, their connection deepened. Industry insiders recalled how they would spend endless nights together in Electric Lady Studios, once owned by Jimi Hendrix, a place often described as sacred ground in the world of soul and rock. I wasn't just his girlfriend, Angie told People magazine. I was the only one who understood his soul. Whatever D'Angelo wrote, I could feel it before he even sang it. In 1998, Angie gave birth to their son, Michael D'Angelo Archer Jr. At the time, D'Angelo was at the height of his career, hailed as the next Marvin Gaye and Prince, collaborating with Lauryn Hill and The Roots. Angie, though pursuing her own solo work, had become his lover, his mother figure, and his protector. On tour, she was always backstage, serving as his unofficial creative advisor. Many fellow musicians confirmed without Angie, there would be no D'Angelo as we know him. But along with success came distance. The gap in age, fame, and the pressures of the spotlight began to strain their relationship. By the time D'Angelo released his second album, Voodoo 2000, a masterpiece hailed as the Bible of neo-soul, Angie was no longer officially involved. Yet many insiders claimed that several songs on Voodoo still carried echoes of their early collaborations. After the release of the iconic Untitled How Does It Feel video, D'Angelo had it all: Grammys, platinum sales, sold-out arenas. But that very moment when the world saw his body as a sex symbol marked the beginning of his spiritual collapse. D'Angelo was never someone who loved the spotlight. Raised in a Christian family in Richmond, Virginia, he played piano in church as a child, the classic church boy. He once said, "Music is a conversation between me and God." But after Voodoo, everything changed. The world became obsessed with his body more than his music. Magazines wanted shirtless covers. Record labels pushed him to stay sexy. The industry wanted him to become the next Black Prince of seduction. Friends said he hated it. By 2001, D'Angelo disappeared completely, no albums, no interviews, no performances. And his love with Angie changed too. What once was passion turned into exhaustion. For the sake of their son, Angie decided to leave him in 1999. Yet the two remained in contact, half friends, half allies, in a world they both knew was dangerous. For the next 12 years, D'Angelo hid from the world consumed by alcohol, cocaine, and addiction. He was arrested multiple times for DUI and drug possession, and once suffered serious injuries in a car crash. Each headline screamed, "The Fallen Genius." Angie, who had turned her focus to a solo career, never stopped trying to help him. In a 2004 interview, she said, "He's the father of my child, and I'll never let that soul be destroyed." But this industry doesn't want him free. It wants to keep him in a golden cage. That quote would later be known as the prophecy of Angie. Because just as she predicted that golden cage slowly strangled him, an artist trapped between spiritual freedom and commercial chains. Angie knew things others didn't. On TV One's Unsung, she said, "This industry has too many layers. You think you're just making music, but you're really signing a contract with something else." Some said Angie once begged D'Angelo to stop to walk away from the spotlight. But D'Angelo, the man who sang Devil's Pie, a song about temptation, money, and the soul, had already fallen too deep. He was lost among what he called the demons in the music. After Black Messiah 2014, D'Angelo vanished once again. He withdrew into the shadows exactly as Angie once described him, a soul drained between two worlds. According to a mutual friend quoted in People magazine, the last time Angie and D'Angelo spoke was in late 2024. They met backstage at a charity concert in Atlanta. No one knew it would be one of their final conversations. The death of Angie Stone, the strange Alabama crash, and the hidden truths. On March 1, 2025, Angie performed at a small theater in Mobile, Alabama. It wasn't a grand show, just a few hundred familiar fans, most of them people who had followed her for over 3 decades. Around 3 a.m., Angie and 8 others left the venue. The silver Mercedes-Benz Sprinter sped through the light rain, its headlights carving streaks across Interstate 65. They were on their way back to the hotel, only 12 miles away. Angie sat in the middle row by the window, still sending a birthday message to her son Michael Jr., her only child with D'Angelo. "Happy birthday, baby. Mama's on her way home." A few minutes later, the world changed color. According to the police report, the van lost control and flipped as it entered a curve. While it lay on its side in the middle of the road, an 18-wheeler came from behind and slammed directly into the right side, right where Angie was sitting. The sound of twisting metal tore through the night. Out of 9 passengers, 8 survived. Only Angie didn't make it. Initial reports called it a tragic accident. People magazine ran the brief headline, "Grammy-nominated R&B singer Angie Stone dies in Alabama car crash at 63. But behind the curtain, other stories began to whisper. According to the official lawsuit filed by her family, as reported by AP News, Angie was still alive after the van overturned. She tried to open the door and crawl out, but the truck hit the van just as she was escaping. The truck driver, Jared Wilkinson, was wearing headphones and wasn't paying attention to the road, so he didn't brake in time. The truck's automatic braking and collision avoidance systems failed to function properly, making the crash far worse. The lawsuit also mentioned the van's driver, Lethal Carter, who lost control due to slippery conditions, but wasn't held primarily responsible. The family demanded a full investigation into possible mechanical failure and the response of all parties involved. In the filing, the family's attorney wrote, "If the system had worked as designed, the second impact would not have occurred. Angie Stone could have survived." Those words silenced the entire music industry. The family filed a lawsuit against Daimler Truck North America and several related transportation companies. But strangely, when the case was temporarily sealed to add evidence, some of the crash data vanished. The dash camera installed in the van to record the entire trip was completely damaged. The hard drive was scratched and the footage was irretrievable. "There's no way every camera failed at the same time," the family's lawyer said. "Someone erased that footage on purpose." What made the tragedy even more heartbreaking was the timing. It happened just 1 day after her son's birthday. In a tribute post, Michael Jr. wrote on Instagram, "You left 1 day after my birthday. We talked last night and you promised to come home to blow out the candles. I still have the cake, Mom." The brief emotional caption went viral, drawing millions of shares. Many called it the birthday tragedy, a symbol of how fragile the line between joy and loss can be. People said Angie's music was always the story of a mother, and that night, as she sent her final message to her son, fate closed the door. But was Angie's death really just a random accident? The battle over royalties, and the system she fought against. A week before her death, Angie went live on Instagram speaking out about her long, bitter battle over royalties with Universal Music Group. She claimed that many of her songs had been used without paying her a cent. "I should have been retired 20 years ago with the money they owe me," she said. "But I'm done being quiet. I'm going to speak. And if something happens to me, at least people will know why." The video lasted more than 17 minutes. In it, Angie alleged that UMG had manipulated contracts, changed ownership rights, and withheld royalties from her for years. She emphasized that it wasn't just one label, but several powerful individuals in the industry who had profited from relicensing her music for younger artists and commercial campaigns. Documents later recovered showed that Angie had repeatedly hired independent lawyers to audit her royalties, but every attempt was delayed for years. She had filed a small lawsuit in 2019, but it disappeared within months. Since then, she claimed she was blacklisted, no new record deals, no TV invitations, no opportunities. In a radio interview, she once admitted, "I think they want me to disappear quietly." After that final live stream, just a week later, Angie was gone. The video was deleted from her account only hours after news of her death broke. 72 hours of silence. After Angie's passing, the phrase, "Justice for Angie Stone," flooded social media. Fans called for a transparent investigation. Some believed it was a tragic accident, but many others, especially within the Black artist community, saw it as a symbol of the injustice she had spoken out against. At her memorial, a band member said, "Angie once told me, 'If I disappear, remember I was still fighting for the truth.'" She kept her word until her last breath. But after 3 days, posts, videos, and hashtags under "Justice for Angie Stone" began to vanish. Many who shared her live stream reported copyright takedowns. Some said their accounts were temporarily suspended without explanation. Singer Jaguar Wright, known for her outspoken criticism of the music industry, released a video saying, "I know how this works." In the first 72 hours, they shut everyone down. Anyone who mentioned Angie got wiped. They don't want us talking about what she found. Her claims couldn't be verified, but they reignited the internet, and then just as quickly, everything went silent. Angie's funeral was held in Atlanta, the city she had always called home. D'Angelo. After Angie's death. Collapse and pressure. When news of Angie Stone's death spread, D'Angelo didn't appear in public. According to People magazine, he was extremely overwhelmed by the loss so much that he couldn't attend her funeral. Those who knew him said he shut himself off completely, retreating deep inside, as if part of his soul had been taken away. In the days that followed, D'Angelo rarely appeared, spoke even less, and kept to himself. Sources told People that Angie's death left him in a state of profound grief and unbearable sorrow. One insider said he was broken inside not only because of a love long past, but because of the heavy weight of memory of music and of their son, Michael Jr. And then, just 7 months later, the world was struck again by another loss that shattered the hearts of soul fans everywhere. D'Angelo's death. The fall of the neo-soul spirit. When the world replayed his songs, Brown Sugar Untitled, How Does It Feel? Black Messiah, few could have imagined that D'Angelo's journey would end in silence. On October 14, 2025, his family announced that Michael Eugene Archer, known to the world as D'Angelo, had passed away after a long battle with pancreatic cancer. He was 51. His passing left an eerie silence where his voice once echoed across the world. In the years leading up to his death, D'Angelo had slowly withdrawn from the spotlight. Throughout his career, he had spoken openly about his struggles, the pressure of fame, the conflict between his true self and his public image, his battles with addiction and depression. Family members revealed that he had been hospitalized multiple times. Some reports stated that before his passing, D'Angelo had spent time in an inpatient care unit and spent his final 2 weeks in hospice care. His family wrote that he had fought bravely, but the illness had slowly taken away the light within him. His death came just 7 months after the passing of Angie Stone, the former lover and mother of his son. The timing felt too symbolic, too haunting to be mere coincidence. To many, it seemed like the two souls were bound by a tragic destiny. D'Angelo left behind 3 children, a timeless body of work, and millions of broken hearts. His family asked the public to respect their privacy, while inviting fans to celebrate the gift of music he left behind. As the world mourned the loss of 2 soul legends, one artist stepped forward with a chilling claim that turned grief into suspicion. The conspiracy, Jaguar Wright's sacrifice ritual revelation. Jaguar Wright, a name well known within the neo-soul and underground hip-hop community. She had performed with major artists, sung background vocals for The Roots, and appeared on stage alongside the Soulquarians. But above all, she was a woman who never knew fear. She said what others only whispered. She accused when the entire industry stayed silent. A voice in the dark Jaguar Wright rose from the shadows, just as news of D'Angelo's death began to spread. She didn't come to mourn. She came carrying words heavy as steel, turning the public's sorrow into a storm of suspicion. As reports of D'Angelo's death faded from screens, Jaguar said a voice echoed in her mind, "Brother in this Illuminati, brother, not in this Illuminati." To her, the music industry wasn't just lights and stages. It was an empire of hidden power, a place where souls were drained to feed influence and control. She claimed it was run by what she called the corporations in the shadows, a secretive network that hid its true hand behind million-dollar contracts and glittering award shows. Jaguar believed that within this system, no death was accidental. Anyone who looked too deeply behind the curtain or dared to speak about what wasn't meant to be spoken would be silenced. According to her, whenever an artist got too close when they began to see the real game they would strike, she said, "In the first 72 hours, they strike back. They take down posts, delete live streams, disable accounts, and choke out any effort to uncover the truth before the public even realizes something has happened right in front of them." When the news of Angie's death spread, Jaguar didn't stay quiet. Through YouTube live streams and Facebook posts, she said Angie didn't just die, she was sacrificed. Her words didn't simply mean killed, she meant sacrificed for something or someone. To Jaguar, it was not an accusation, but a warning whispered from the underground of the music world. She claimed Angie had been moved, physically relocated moments before the crash happened. No one knew who did it or why. But according to Jaguar, there had been CCTV footage that was wiped clean and only a few people had ever seen it. Journey data security videos, technical files all gone or locked away by those in power. Jaguar said Angie died because she knew too much. Angie had publicly accused record labels of stealing millions in royalties. She vowed to fight back, knowing full well that they could do anything to stop her from reclaiming what was hers. And then just days later, she was gone. A strange crash in Alabama. 9 people in the van 8 survived, only Angie died. According to Jaguar, Angie's death wasn't random. She believed the people in power had paid in blood to protect the system. Because as Angie once said herself, "We believe in God, but they don't." Jaguar continued. D'Angelo was next. He was getting too close to what killed Angie. She implied that if Angie's death was the beginning, then D'Angelo had come too close to the door no one in the industry was ever meant to open. The investigation begins in the shadows. Jaguar Wright said that just weeks after Angie's funeral, D'Angelo quietly hired a private investigator, someone independent not connected to any insurance company or police department. The man was described as anonymous, a specialist who worked for artists known for handling secret disputes between record labels and musicians. D'Angelo never believed the accident explanation. According to Jaguar, he always felt something was wrong, especially after noticing that certain details had been blurred or omitted by the media. Around that time, fans also noticed a strange silence surrounding him. He canceled several projects, went completely offline, and according to close friends, began to believe someone was watching him. Jaguar claimed D'Angelo had gotten very close to uncovering the truth, and that was precisely why he had been marked. When D'Angelo died only 7 months after Angie, his family confirmed the cause as pancreatic cancer. But Jaguar said bluntly, "No, that wasn't cancer. That was a silencing." She believed the diagnosis was a perfect cover, a way to end all suspicion in quiet. "He went too far," she said. "He crossed a line they never allow anyone to cross." The Twin Curse. Jaguar called it the Twin Curse, 2 neo-soul spirits erased within the same cycle. What chilled people most were the coincidences. Both were suing or preparing to sue their record labels. Both had spoken about royalties and manipulation in the industry. Both died just as they were about to make public the documents they held. Jaguar said to them, "Artists are worth more dead," and time has proven her right. Super profits from legendary souls. When Angie Stone passed away in March 2025, the internet seemed to explode. Her neo-soul anthems, "Wish I Didn't Miss You Brotha" and "No More Rain," flooded every streaming platform overnight. Within just 48 hours, her streaming numbers skyrocketed by more than 10,000%. Mahogany Soul climbed back into the top 20 on iTunes R&B more than 20 years after its release. Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music all featured Angie in their Soul Classics playlists, a rare honor reserved only for artists considered timeless legends. Her death broke the hearts of millions, but it also did something else. It turned her music into rarity, a limited treasure that made the entire world stop and listen again. Just 7 months later, history repeated itself. When news of D'Angelo's death broke in October 2025, his iconic albums Voodoo and Black Messiah instantly re-entered the Billboard 200 chart. According to Billboard, D'Angelo's streaming numbers rose 17-fold in only 48 hours. Record labels called it a posthumous boom, a surge of profit after an artist's death. It was the same phenomenon seen with Prince Michael Jackson and Amy Winehouse. But here's the brutal truth: the ones who profit the most from that boom are not the families. It's the record labels, the ones who own the master recordings. Why record labels earn more. When artists die. When artists are alive, they earn from touring endorsements and a small portion of royalties from their music. But when they die, the tours stop, the contracts end, and only the music remains. And when the world starts listening again, the cash flow doesn't stop, it simply changes direction. Whoever owns the masters and publishing owns the money. Universal Music Group UMG still controls most of Angie Stone's original masters, and it was also D'Angelo's distributor during the 1990s. When both artists passed away within 7 months, their streaming numbers jumped by tens of millions, bringing in massive digital revenue without a single new dollar spent on production. When an artist dies, the labels don't let time pass, they capitalize. In 2025, just 48 hours after D'Angelo's death, UMG released a curated playlist titled Neo Soul Forever, accompanied by the caption for the ones we lost and the soul they left behind. Fans shared it everywhere, but soon began to wonder, had this been prepared in advance? At that same time, UMG's profit from its back catalog recordings surged nearly 38% in a single month. D'Angelo had long tried to reclaim control over his early recordings, but his contract with EMI UMG made it impossible. Angie Stone, in her final livestream, said she was fighting the people who stole my music rights. Both of them were talking about the same thing: master recordings. Under U.S. copyright law, for works pre-1978, record labels can exploit master recordings for up to 70 years after release. That means the music of Angie Stone and D'Angelo could continue generating income for these corporations until the end of the 21st century. Those two deaths, when viewed on the revenue chart, weren't the end, they were the start of an endless upward curve. But the conspiracy didn't end there. Another branch of the story, darker, more elusive, began with Angie Stone's final words. In the last months of her life, Angie told friends she felt she was under a spiritual attack, an invisible pressure, as if something was draining her energy day by day. Her family recalled that she often couldn't sleep, would wake in panic at night, and spoke of a dark energy surrounding her. Some dismissed it as exhaustion, but those in spiritual circles believed she was describing something far beyond depression, an energetic assault. From there, the rumors spread that Angie might have carried a kind of spiritual mark after years of touring in Africa. During one old tour, she had attended a cultural ceremony where local musicians performed ancestral music rituals, known as an energy offering, in which creative energy is given to the spirits of the ancestors. People said Angie was invited to take part but refused. After that, she began describing strange things, eerie sounds in the studio tracks disappearing from hard drives, nights when she felt someone was silently watching her. No one could prove it, and no one could disprove it. But what frightened people most was how these bizarre incidents began appearing right before her death, as if some invisible chain was tightening around her. Those who believe in the conspiracy say the dark energy wasn't a metaphor, but a sign of a spiritual sacrifice ritual where an artist's soul is claimed the moment they defy the system. When Angie Stone and D'Angelo died, the world didn't just lose two artists, it lost two symbols of Black soul, two people who dared to challenge the system and sing about what the industry wanted to bury. What they left behind wasn't just music. It was a declaration of freedom, the right to speak, to create, and to be seen. Legacy. When souls don't die, they just change form. Angie Stone, the mother of modern soul. Angie Stone lived and died like a warrior. Before becoming a 2000s diva, she had already made history as one of the first female rappers member of the sequence, whose 1979 hit Funk You Up paved the way for black women in hip-hop. From Black Diamond 1999 to Mahogany Soul 2001 and Stone Love 2004, she wrote about broken black men, the loneliness of black women, and faith in a godless industry. She sold more than 5 million records worldwide, received the Soul Music Icon Award in 2021, and was inducted into the Women's Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2024. Even after her death, her music rose again. Streaming numbers surged over 1,200%, and No More Rain reached 2 million plays within days. She once said, "Music is my soul." And indeed, after she was gone, that soul kept singing. D'Angelo, the rebellious spirit of neo-soul. If Angie was the mother of modern soul, then D'Angelo was its rebellious son. He didn't just want to sing about God, he wanted to question him, even challenge himself. With Brown Sugar 1995, he opened a new era of raw, slow, meditative music stripped of commercial gloss. By Voodoo 2000, he had become a legend. The album won 2 Grammys, sold over 2 million copies in the US, and was hailed by critics as the Bible of modern soul. But when the system tried to turn him into a commercial sex symbol, D'Angelo resisted. He disappeared from the stage for 14 years, rejecting every lucrative offer just to protect what he called the truth in music. He told Questlove, "If I have to choose between being rich and keeping my soul, I'll choose my soul." When he returned with Black Messiah 2014, D'Angelo was no longer a star, he was a prophet. The album carried a clear political message echoing the Black Lives Matter movement. He became the voice of the unheard and a thorn in the system's side. D'Angelo and Angie had a son, Michael Archer Jr., born in 1998. He is their direct heir, but determining the true value of their musical catalogs is another story. According to public records from Music Business Worldwide before his death, D'Angelo co-owned songwriting rights to over 40 tracks, including Untitled How Does It Feel, Brown Sugar Lady, and Really Love. His catalog was estimated at more than $25 million, not counting royalties from collaborations and film placements. Angie Stone. Despite a 40-year career, controlled only a fraction of her 80 published works due to restrictive label contracts dating back to the 1990s. Analysts said that if Angie had won her royalty lawsuit against Universal Music, which her family continued after her death, her catalog could have been worth between $8 and $10 million. But strangely, just weeks after D'Angelo's death, a Universal Music subsidiary quietly purchased the remaining portion of his rights through an investment firm called Black Lion Holdings. No one knows who owns the company, and according to Jaguar Wright, that's the hand of the system. Michael Jr. was only 27 when he had to arrange funerals for both his parents in the same year. Once a low-key producer for indie projects, he is now reportedly working to establish the Stone Foundation, a non-profit supporting black artists in protecting their music rights. 2 souls, 1 battle. Angie and D'Angelo not only loved each other, they shared the same mission to fight an industry that commercialized the black soul. Angie wrote like a prayer. D'Angelo sang like a confession. Both said their music wasn't for entertainment, it was testimony. From prisons to churches, from Harlem streets to radio airwaves, they became the voice of the voiceless. Today, their songs stand as hymns of artistic freedom. Music students across America study Brown Sugar as a structural lesson in modern soul. Young black creators on TikTok use Angie's voice in Brotha to honor fathers, uncles, and brothers left behind by the system. They say Angie sang for those who weren't heard. D'Angelo sang for those who couldn't speak. Together, one the origin, the other the successor, they became the torchbearers of the new independent soul movement artists who record, release, and own their work without bowing to major labels. That uprising is their true legacy, the one no one can take away. Angie and D'Angelo don't just represent black music, they are witnesses to a centuries-long struggle for freedom. If you've ever loved Angie Stone's soulful voice or felt the ache of D'Angelo's melodies, leave a few words below. Write to them or just drop a small heart. That alone is enough to say you still remember. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so together we can keep their music alive forever.
All data, analysis, and commentary in this video are presented based on information available at the time of production. The content is subject to change over time and should not be considered a definitive forecast.
There is still so much more to explore. Stories of resilience, legacy, and truth. Feel free to dive into some of our top recommended videos now appearing on the screen.